Howdy, friends. It's 2:22. That's magic. I usually start this at 2 o'clock, but I was out watering the garden, and that's what felt right to me. So 2:22 sounds like a good time to start this live stream today. Um, Today at the New Renaissance Business School, we were talking about marketers who go on video talking about authenticity, but you can tell they're reading from a script and they're not at all authentic. There's this kind of frenetic woohoo attitude, and you can tell they're actually reading. Here, you can't even see my eyes, but I am not reading from a script. I actually should have been wearing my other no glare glasses, but you'll just have to deal with this today. So here's what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about how authenticity cannot be scripted, and my point here is there's a lot of reasons why traditional marketing ideas, standard, what they call bro marketing tactics, they just don't work for us. Have you ever been have you ever been in a marketing workshop where you just started feeling like you were being tortured and that you had to run out of the room? I mean, I have just I cannot listen to this another minute longer, and I leave. I go out into the hallway or outside, at the hotel, and generally there's somebody out there that I'm supposed to meet anyway. Um, but why can I not handle listening to some of the traditional marketing stuff? Often because it's so polished, and I I know I'm not going to be that polished ever. I went to private school in Greenwich, Connecticut when I was a young one. And yeah, there were some pretty polished kids there. There was the standard attire. But guess what? I never looked good in the standard attire, and I couldn't polish myself that well. So it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me to be polished then. It doesn't work for me to be polished now. So what I like to say is there's actually a good reason not to polish yourself for your public. And that is that if you're too polished and you're not really a polished type, you're more of like, let's say, a wild, untamable, unpredictable, psychic, mystic, creative, multi passionate, soul led trailblazer out to make an impact in the world. If that's you, polished probably isn't your game. That's not how you roll. And therefore, your people won't recognize you if you're acting that way. And that's the big danger, is that people are going to come along and see your polished video and they're going to be like, that's obviously not for me, and go on to the next thing, right? So, you know, I'm lately been coming up with really good reasons why to ignore standard marketing advice. Authenticity doesn't fit into a prefab box either. I learned that down at private school too. I didn't fit into the box at all. Um, Good thing, right? I mean, the prefab box is not where leading edge trailblazers hang out. That you need to take a risk. You don't even really know if it's going to work. You cannot know in advance. I'm sorry. You can't protect yourself from possible failure. In fact, even if you do throw yourself into that little box, very likely it's not going to work for you. You can't protect yourself from failure there, and now you're in a box. What about just doing your own thing and creating your own sphere uh, of possibility to reach your people? What if you just go up online and start sharing extemporaneously from the heart? Then there's an opportunity for you to actually transmit something that wasn't planned, that wasn't part of your script. And you can't always be scripted, can you? I mean, I wonder sometimes about the scripted types. Do they script all of their live classes and never say anything unscripted? I don't think that that is even possible. Somebody asks you a question, you have to answer it. You can't always plan. I mean, some people, I was actually in a class. I didn't really like this, where she did a live stream and you could only ask questions by typing into the comments. You couldn't actually ask her a question voice to voice. But still, she had to answer the question. So the reason that I'm talking about this now, I mean, I'm always talking about this stuff, but one of the key reasons is that I'm doing a workshop next week. It's an all-day virtual retreat, let's call it. And I titled it The Ditch the Niche Revolution. I really do feel that it's a revolution. We're at the dawn of a new renaissance, and that we're supposed to be combining our talents in new genius ways that create a greater impact and solve the age-old problems facing humanity since the dawn of history, or herstory as we sometimes talk about it. And I was speaking with a woman the other day, and I was saying, one of the things we didn't have in the original Renaissance was metaphysical arts. It was pretty much held close to the vest, as they say, by certain religious leaders. It wasn't widely even talked about, and certainly, uh, let's just say, in the 1600s, if you were a woman sharing that kind of thing, they offed you, right? They did the dunking thing. They burnt you at the stake or whatever for being a witch. And then this woman said, yeah, they also didn't have women leaders, right? And that's good reason why we didn't have women leaders, because they offed us when we knew anything, or if we stepped outside of the norm. So now we have the right to step outside of the norm here. We're not going to very likely be killed for that anymore. And there's the internet, and we can communicate with people, millions, even billions of people across the planet, uh, can be guided to your video, let's say, or a piece of writing that you do, a little meme that you share. And so I do support getting out there and talking about your thing so that we can contribute to that new renaissance and have a greater impact. There's that sense of the ripple effect, that if you do something, that's designed to support people and transform lives, even if one person receives that and they do something that has a positive impact, see how that goes out and out and out and out. I was sharing this in the school today too, where I've been listening a lot to these NDE, near death experiencers, And they often talk about how everything that we do has a ripple effect because we're all connected. And this one guy was sharing about how he had done something to help a kid in like the second grade or something. And when he was having his near death experience, he was shown how that positive, loving act that he did at age 8, how it affected that guy's life for his whole life. And how that ended up affecting other lives that that person touched. You know, this is not something that marketers talk about, how your message, your content can positively impact the lives of people who may not ever even work with you. It's all about converting people into clients. That's what they talk about. They need to measure how many clients they converted from a thing. But you can't really measure transformation because sometimes it happens without anyone telling you. They saw your thing, they never told you. It positively impacted them, and they went out and positively impacted other people. That's more of a new Renaissance style of marketing. And that's what we're going to be doing on Wednesday at the Ditch the Niche Revolution, Wednesday, July 8th, 2026, from 9 to 5 p.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to start by looking at why the niche marketing thing is, where does that come from, and why it's just, we're calling it unmasking the niche myth. And we'll just dive into a little bit into that to ground you in, you don't have to do that no matter how many people tell you that you do have to do it. Because I will say, it was kind of a hard road to get to the point where I would have a Ditch the Niche Revolution event. Because I was, for whatever reason, worried about what my colleagues would say and that they would argue with me and make me look like a fool or something like that for not doing the niche dance. Um, but I figured it out philosophically. And now I'm grounded in, actually, it's a bad idea for us to niche ourselves that way. And so we'll get into that and ground you into that you never have to do that. Here's what you'll say when somebody tries to force you into that. Or even like one time I was trying to hire a copywriter, and after I told her what I do, she said, "You're as scattered as your clients." And I was like, "Scattered, eh?" Clearly she did not want the job. You know, we're certainly not scattered. We're just genius, multi-passionate geniuses. How about that? So we'll start there with the grounding ourselves in the why we need to avoid the niche thing, and probably traditional marketing, which all comes from corporate. It is about brainwashing, lying, and hyping to people so they buy stuff. That is traditional marketing, the source. Some of it's practical. I don't mind a little bit of practical. You know, I'm doing something practical right now. I'm sharing with you on a live stream. You know, that's a practical thing. But I don't have to be all scripted and lying to you while I'm doing it. Right? I don't have to do that part. I don't have to try to dumb down what I'm saying so that average Joe can understand it, when average Joe is about as far from my ideal client as you can get. Then the second part of what we're doing on Wednesday at the Ditch the Niche Revolution is we're going to look at everything that we've ever liked to do, everything we've ever learned or mastered, gotten certified for. Maybe we got a degree. Maybe we liked to color when we were a kid. Maybe we liked to write. We couldn't figure out how to fit that in. It doesn't really matter logically right away, but we want to get into all the things, all the things you want to include in your life. No more putting that off until someday. I used to put off painting till someday. One day, I'll be a purple-haired old lady painting bad, selling bad paintings at the festival or something like that. I think that's what I said. But that someday never came, until finally my friend Christy made me come over to her studio and color. And finally I started painting at that point, and I even had purple hair. I don't know why I thought my paintings would be bad necessarily. That was just what that someday little voice said. But I have actually since realized that painting is a part of who I really am, and I need to continue doing it. What are the things that are a part of who you are and that you need to continue doing, even if you can't figure out right now how that fits into your actual business? We're going to figure we're going to identify that, let's say that. And then we're going to do a quantum meditation to we'll do a little bit of movement. Our friend Fawn is going to do some movement for us after lunch. We'll definitely have a lunch break. We'll have some breakout rooms. We'll probably have a breakout room where you can have lunch, so you can connect with other people there if you like. Um, and then Sherelle is going to guide us in a quantum meditation to activate what we're calling our unifying principle. Because when we're looking at everything that we want to include in our life, we're going to look at what unites all those things. We call that a unifying principle. And then we're going to activate that out through our quantum vision. Okay? And then in terms of marketing, you only need to choose a couple of things that you're doing regularly. It's really about consistency. You don't have to do everything that everyone's doing. You just choose a few things that you're willing to do that are fun, fulfilling, and sustainable for you. So that's what's happening on Wednesday. There's three options to join us. One is just come to the event. It's just $27. You're going to get my soul tuner as a gift for registering. That'll help you align your vibe to attract your tribe, something along those lines. Um, there's option two, where you get all the recordings from the day long event, plus a messaging workshop that we're doing on Friday the 10th at 9:30 for about 90 minutes, 9:30 in the morning Pacific time. That'll be recorded. You'll get the recordings for that too. But that's where we're going to take our unifying principle and what we figured out at the event and put it into a cohesive message. Um, so that comes as a nice bonus. There's a third option where you get to work with me privately on your message. And I don't usually do that. I usually require quite an extended engagement with me over a period of 6 weeks to do your messaging, because that's really what's required if you're going to create a world changing message. But just the how, what do I do, what do you do kind of thing, we can do that in a session. A nice private session, especially if you come all day on Wednesday and come to the workshop on Friday and you have all this stuff done, and then we get together privately. We can really work out something very unique to you, a way to unite all of your talents cohesively in an umbrella brand message. That is $297 for the whole thing. Typically, I don't even look at you for talking about a message for under $1,000. So this is my best deal for doing a message. I highly recommend selecting that option if you've been struggling with what to say to attract your soul tribe. So my link is below for the Ditch and Niche Revolution. Feel free to comment below if you saw this video and just it sparked something in you. Um, or if you have any questions for me, I check these videos and I answer all the comments. Personally, I don't have a robot do it or an assistant. So, happy Independence Day. Uh, it's coming up tomorrow, 250-year anniversary of the Declaration of Independence in the United States. I always like to think about freedom in these cases. Um, One time I took the opportunity to break up a relationship on Independence Day because I wanted my independence from that relationship. Um, so freedom, freedom is a good topic to think about when you're thinking about ditching the niche, you know. Certainly your freedom is not in that box, right? What freedom is that ability to be yourself in all circumstances and to thrive as the result of being yourself. So enjoy your holiday weekend. Supposedly people aren't working today. I managed to kind of, I don't know what I call my stuff work really. This isn't really work. But I'm going to go out and mow. I often get good downloads when I mow the lawn. And dig up some dirt and move it around a little bit in the garden maybe. What are you doing for the holiday weekend if you're in the United States? Do you go out and look at fireworks? I tend not to, but I can see them from my window. The dogs get really scared. I certainly wouldn't want to abandon them. Um, so I'll be watching from my room. What'll you be doing? See you next time. I'm doing this every Friday nowadays. Around 2 o'clock though today. I started at 2:22, so I may not always be on time, but I'm doing my best to be consistent so that you can get some kind of new leading edge, revolutionary, mystical, magical approach to marketing every Friday here on this platform. See you next time.